What Joe Madden has him lined up like tonight, and the key in this batting order, at least so far through the tiebreaker and the wild card game, has been Delman Young. 9 postseason home runs. They signed him in August. Had the big homer in the wild card game that started the scoring for the Rays, and he has been a very impressive postseason performer in his career. And now back with the team that signed him in the first round back in 2003. And John, there is John Lester, and another big start for him. And we'll see the old rust comparison versus the team that has been playing in all of these games in the Tampa Bay Rays. See how that pales for Lester today.
Well, John Lester, of course, coming off a miserable year, and you're going to see a man who's made some adjustments, 15 wins this year. You're going to see fastballs and cutters. For him to be successful, if his cutter is into right-handers and firm, the Rays are going to be in trouble. He throws a changeup and curveball, and of course the shadows are going to be part of the play early on with the clouds breaking with some sun.
All right, Joe, how about the Red Sox defensively behind John Lester, finally at full strength again?
And with a lefty going for the Rays, that means Johnny Gomes gets the start in left field, as he always does against a lefty. Jacoby Ellsbury is back after an injury that waylaid him late in the season. Shane Victorino's been a big plus for this ball club after signing as a free agent. Middlebrooks, Drew, Pedroia, and Napoli from third to first. All good defensively. Napoli, a catcher by trade, of course, and Jared Saltalamacchia doing the catching for Lester today.
All right, ready for baseball today. Much different environment here for the Tampa Bay Rays than they saw in Arlington for the tiebreaker game, and certainly in Cleveland for the wild card game. Folks still filing in, but the sun is out. We're ready for baseball. Desmond Jennings leads off, and strike one. Away we go from Fenway Park.
Cloudy and rainy all morning. The hitters did not get to take batting practice out in the field, and everybody was glad about the fact that there were clouds because there'd be no shadow. Lo and behold, the sun is out.
Desmond Jennings back in the leadoff spot for Tampa Bay. 2 big hits for Joe Madden in the wild card game. Drove in a couple of runs. Lester with his signature pitch, the cut fastball. That'll be a big one for him today, as it always is. John Farrell managing his first postseason game. So many years here with the Red Sox as their pitching coach. Jennings strikes out, and that's how the afternoon begins for John Lester.
Well, the leadoff man's going to see some guys already as we look at this. Fastball just beats Jennings. He had some success coming into this game, 462 average, but already seen Myers ask, can you see the ball? You know, that shadow that's at the mound, that's the first thing the leadoff guy, not only does he want to work to count and get on base, but he's going to report to the other guys and say, hey, boys, it's a little bit tough, or this is what I'm seeing.
As a hitter, this is about as bad as it gets right here.
There's Ben Zobrist, and Lester starts him with a strike. One thing we've seen from the Rays, they are a very patient team overall. If you look at their numbers, they walk a lot, among the best in baseball, but it has typically been that they are aggressive early in games. They're trying to get off to a fast start, score early if possible. And even the ultra patient Zobrist swinging away at the first offering. Familiar opponents. These two matched up in the 2008 American League Championship Series, won by Tampa Bay in 7 games. They played 19 times during the regular season, and Boston winning 12 of those. Best of 5 series winner headed to the American League Championship Series. Ball and 2 strikes.
Right, for the hitters, the difficult part about this, the shadow as it is right now, is that Lester's in bright sunshine. The backdrop, the batter's eye is in bright sunshine, but the path of the baseball is almost all 60 feet 6 inches in the shadow, and that makes it very hard to see when you've got that bright light basically behind you.
1-2 to Lester, and a swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for John Lester to start his day.
Lester's been waiting for this moment. It seems like a week, 5-6 days. He throws another one inside. That's going to be the key. He's already thrown at 97 miles an hour. He loves pitching at home. 7-1. And certainly this is going to be a different type crowd than we've seen in the first two cities. This team and this crowd expects different things. This is the best team in the American League, and they expect their pitcher, which they've watched big change, dominate this game.
Here's Will Myers, rookie right fielder for the Rays. Boston finishing with the best record. They will have home field advantage throughout, all the way through the World Series if they make it that far. A 28-game turnaround. I don't know what's more surprising, the fact that the Red Sox had the worst record, that they were last in their division last year, and that they go from worst to first, or the fact that they've turned it around so fast this season to be the best team in the American League East and in the American League to get home field. Myers pops it a mile high behind home plate, and that'll head into the net.
Well, as you said, pitching last year was just horrendous from everybody to that they ever tried to get going. And this year they've turned it around. They're not blowing statistics away, but compared to last year, they sure have made significant changes. Almost a run and a half off their ERA, their team ERA.
Lester, a chance to strike out the side. And the 1-2. Up and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Will Myers.
He's throwing hard. He's usually somewhere in the 90 to 94 range. He's been around 97 this whole inning.
Lester last started against Baltimore last Saturday when 5 innings gave up 4 earned runs to the Orioles, finishing his year at 15-8. Swing and a miss. John Lester strikes out the side. Dustin Pedroia, the spine of the Red Sox, former MVP, hit .301 this season. Has been a run producer, second most runs he's produced in a single season in his career, and a base stealer. And the Red Sox will run. Left-hander on the. He's 24-year-old from New Mexico. His second career postseason start.
Yeah, an interesting dynamic on his year. You look at the numbers, 17-4, a lot of walks. Look at 76. And what's going to be concerning for against a patient team like the Red Sox is he can get wild and then dot the strike zone. So it's going to be an interesting challenge to see how much patience the Red Sox have and how much patience the manager for the Rays has with the starting pitcher.
Tony Ellsbury back in the starting lineup, dealing with a foot injury, a compression fracture in his foot, but he's back, returned at the end of the regular season. Red Sox really haven't had their main lineup together in the second half, and even as they clinched the division with 2 weeks, they didn't have all the pieces in place, and of course they have not played since the final regular season game on Sunday.
Matt Moore's got a fastball, good breaking ball, and a changeup. That he throws the changeup for strikes, the Red Sox hitters are going to be in trouble. But it all works off the command of his fastball.
And the one thing his manager said before the ball game was that it was going to be important for Matt Moore to get early strikes and force the Red Sox hitters to be a little more aggressive. He did not want him going to 2-0 counts.
Joe Madden reminding Matt Moore about his complete game against the Red Sox. It was a shutout on a 2-hitter here at Fenway as Ellsbury on the ground right to Escobar. And that's how the day begins for Matt Moore. And Joe, one of the best defenses in the big leagues, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, we've been talking about these guys all week and how good they are. Today it's Rodriguez, Jennings, and Myers in the outfield. But as a unit, as a team, the Rays with only 59 errors this year. And that would have set a major league record, except that the Baltimore Orioles were just a little bit better. They too set a record with only 54 errors. Jose Lobaton making the start behind the plate. He's a switch hitting catcher.
And Lobaton playing in his first career postseason game. He's been on a playoff roster, but getting his first action here today as Shane Victorino steps in.
He used to be a switch hitter.
Yes, he did.
Primarily a right-handed hitter, and done a nice job ever since the injury.
Yeah, Victorino is one of the group that Bing Cherington, the general manager of the Red Sox, brought in here. And as the Red Sox were able to clear the deck and essentially a payroll mulligan with the trade with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Victorino, one of the players to try to help change things and change the way the Red Sox were going about their business.
Which, by the way, no current player on the roster today has been part of that trade that they made last year with the Dodgers. Matter of fact, Loney is playing against him.
Yeah, Loney came over to the Red Sox from the Dodgers. And that hit him. Victorino stands right on top of the plate, and Moore hits him. And a base runner for the Red Sox with one away.
It's something that's a little out of what you would expect from the Red Sox. It's got him on the foot. Is that they are a running team. They're third in the American League in stolen bases. In fact, they have a record streak going, 39 straight stolen bases as a team without being caught.
Victorino leading the American League in hit by pitches. He has 21 steals this year, caught just 3 times. And now Pedroia right in the heart of that order for the Red Sox, coming off another terrific year, hitting over 300 again. It's a career .302 batter, and he hit .301 this season. Just the 9 home runs, but he drove in 84.
Red Sox as a team lead all of the American League in hit by batters. Moore's got a decent slide step as a left-hander. I know a left-hander can have more deception and a move to first. The one thing he does that's a little bit different is he keeps his hands way up high, almost behind his head. So that separation to home plate, he's got his hand that's got to go down and out really quickly. But when you think about the Red Sox and their running game, a lot's going to depend on how much he changes his timing.
Another thing that surprised me about this Boston lineup, and you always look at these top 3 guys, Ellsbury, Victorino, and Pedroia, they're all hitting right at 300. But as a group, those 3 guys against Tampa Bay this year, only .213. So Tampa Bay's done a great job of keeping them off the base in most instances.
Well, Matt Moore made his first ever postseason start 2 years ago, 2011, had just 3 big league games under his belt. Joe Madden gave him the ball against the Texas Rangers in the American League Division Series, and he responded in a big way. 7 innings of 2-hit baseball to the heavy hitting Rangers, no runs, and he has had a fantastic year statistically with 17 wins and a .329 earned run average. But Johnny did battle some elbow problems. Went on the disabled list in late July. He was a Cy Young candidate at that time, but his command has been of question. A lot of pitches, especially against a Red Sox team that takes a lot of pitches, gets deep in the counts, and that'll be a key today for Matt Moore.
And it will. And the only thing I can tell you, the mechanics look pretty good. You got to think it's the release point, the way it comes out of his hands, sometimes on the side, sometimes underneath. He'll pull some pitches, he'll cut some pitches, but what he does have is a firm, easy delivery. To a hitter, he may throw 2 in a row out of the zone and then dot it, and that's a frustration. So he's effectively wild, but walks are a huge part of the last month or 2.
That's a foul ball. Wow, close.
Changeup, I think, right here, and you look at the ball down the line. Not much foul room when you get to the outfield, and that ball just missed hitting the bag or hitting the line. But when it gets down to the corner, this baseball dimension that is unlike any other, it's hard to get a foul ball in between the line and the stands.
Well, the Rays certainly know this ballpark, but no batting practice today for either club. No time on the field at all as we begin this American League Division Series. It's certainly a bigger story for the Rays, especially with a couple of young outfielders out there, and Will Myers in right and Rodriguez in left. Pedroia fouls it back.
This is arguably the roughest, toughest right field to play to in the big leagues. For Will Myers, for example, standing in right field, he's standing almost parallel to the foul pole in right field, but from the foul pole Defense drops way back to a mark 380 at the visiting bullpen, and that ball, when it gets in the corner, can really give you trouble if you're trying to cut it off.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Pedroia. Rays looking for a ground ball here. Victorino stays put, and Pedroia center field. And Jennings will settle under it for the second out. And a good battle there between Pedroia and Matt Moore. Out number 2. Victorino still at first. And here comes David Ortiz. David Ortiz, even at 37 years of age, putting up the big numbers. 309, another 30 homer season, has 7 of those where he has popped at least 30 homers and has at least 100 runs batted in. Had an OPS of 959 this season. That tied Ted Williams, by the way, for a franchise record, the 7 consecutive years of 30 and 100. And one of the very best designated hitters in the history of the game, and Matt Moore gets him to swing and miss at a first pitch fastball.
Well, for Matt Moore to be successful today, he's going to have to keep his center fielder busy if he doesn't strike guys out. He's not a big ground ball, as you see the switch that goes on Matt Moore in the defense. Interesting switches that Madden will display from time to time.
Always a shift on with Ortiz. Was one of the first players you started to see the extreme shifting going on. If you were with us during the wild card game on Wednesday, it is unusual that Longoria moves over into the second base position and Escobar stays put in the shortstop position. Now a lot of teams do that, but what's unusual is every now and then they'll flip-flop back and forth. All depends on the count. It's 0-2 here. Runner takes off. Victorino and a foul. Back out of play. Now David Ortiz in our today's Goodyear Superior Performer. Historically, among designated hitters, David Ortiz is the career leader in home runs, RBIs, hits, runs scored. Frank Thomas is second in home runs. Edgar Martinez in RBIs and runs right behind Ortiz. And Harold Baines. That's kind of the Mount Rushmore of designated hitters. And Ortiz is right there. Victorino goes. Pitch is high. The second is late. And a stolen base for Victorino puts a Red Sox in scoring position.
Jose Lobaton has made some great strides defensively for the Rays over the last year or so, but still not one of the better throwers among catchers in the American League. So we might see some more of this as the game goes along for Boston.
Well, I would think the stolen base will adjust the switch a little bit, or the shift that they put on. You'll see Escobar trying. He's got third base stolen if he wants to, because with 2 outs.
Ortiz takes a ball. It's got to be just, Joe, from a defensive perspective, a very unusual position for Escobar to be in at the shortstop position, but now asked to play the hole here with 2 outs.
He's so good defensively, Brian. I'm not sure if anything really bothers him out there. And he's aware of what Victorino might try to do. That's why he's moved a little closer to the third base bag.
And by the way, Matt Moore led the American League in wild pitches this season. That's always on their mind. A bouncer right to Escobar in the perfect spot, and Ortiz is out. And the defensive charts pay off early for the Rays. We head to the second. Tonight, check local listings or go to MLBnetwork.com for game time and channel number. Evan Longoria leads off for the Rays, and Lester pours in strike 1. Longoria had the big day against the Rangers in the tiebreaker. A triple from the cycle in that game. And a key home run against Texas. And Longoria seems to be at his best late in the year or in these big moments. And that has been no different so far. And Joe, while we can't call that a playoff game on Monday in Texas. It certainly felt like it.
It did, and he always steps up in those big games, those last games of the season, and that was officially the last game of the regular season. Like 7 home runs in those ball games, and all of a sudden, clouds are back, no shadow, easier for the hitters to see. Something else, guys. These elimination games, Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday, the Rays have scored first each time. It's really taken some pressure off their hitters, giving the pitchers some room to work.
As a matter of fact, the Tampa Bay Rays have scored first in their last 12 games. When they had to win, they started on this road trip, had to go to New York for 4. Dropped a couple of games in Toronto after that allowed the Rangers back in, allowed the Indians to take over the top spot in the wild card race. And then, of course, if you've been with us during these elimination games, you know how they have finished. And Lester strikes out Longoria. Boy, what a start. 4 batters, 4 strikeouts, all swinging.
Well, he's established in, and he'll go away later. He's got the backdoor cutter, the front door cutter, but what he's done is taken these right-handed hitters inside conscious, and that'll open up the outside part of the plate later in the game. So early on, we talked about if his cutter's on and his fastball is awful firm, he's going to be liking it.
Here's Delmon Young, and doesn't take a first pitch strike very often, but he does here, and Lester gets ahead of him. Young now in his 5th consecutive postseason. Wherever he ends up, he seems to find his way on a playoff roster. He was the MVP of the League Championship Series last season for the Tigers. Signed with the Phillies this offseason. Was released by Philadelphia. Signed with the Rays in August. And a little jam shot. Pedroia easy enough for out number 2. And the first ball put in play for an out by the Rays at this point.
One of the things that John Lester has done besides make up for last year, he's tried different things mechanically. But what I want to watch, what you need to see, it's not a big move off the rubber. He was on the farthest side of the right side, first base side of the rubber. What he's done is moved it closer to the middle to create a better angle so that his pitches look to the umpire better on the corner. The far extreme right side of the rubber is creating, believe it or not, a tougher angle for the umpires to see, and really has gotten him closer to the outside part of the plate and made him be more successful with his pitches.
Interesting. All about the geometry.
Yeah.
For John Lester. Sean Rodriguez takes a ball, and I haven't heard of a move like that. You see Juan Nieves, like Lester, a no-hitter in the major leagues, the pitching coach of the Red Sox, but you're talking about a pitcher who's making an adjustment for the umpire and not the hitter necessarily.
Well, it works hand in hand, because then it doesn't seem like you have to pull the pitch or be more fine with it. And the one thing he has always been, he's a big imposing left-handed pitcher, and he comes a little bit more sidewinding kind of turn, and that turn had gotten him in trouble last year. Mechanically, he had not had his feel. This year, with the exception of about 3 starts, he's been lights out.
Rodriguez fouls it back, getting started left field today for the Rays. Sean Rodriguez playing in his first ever postseason game in the outfield today. Played 8 games in the playoffs in 2011, but all as an infielder. This will be a new experience for him, and the crowd revs up. Lester with 2 outs, 2 strikes on the hitter.
Wow was right. I mean, just from his reaction.
At the bottom of the zone.
Well, the count goes full. Chris Guccione is the home plate umpire.
He got him there.
And the payoff. And Rodriguez launches one deep left field. That is way back. And it is gone. A home run for Rodriguez.
And Lester just stared a hole through Chris Guccione after he got a new baseball bat.
The Rays score first again. 13 straight games they opened the scoring. And Sean Rodriguez bangs out a long home run to put Tampa Bay on top.
He only hit 5 homers all year, none against Boston. This made up for it. This was launched deep left center. Victor Lester thought he had him struck out.
There is Escobar, and there's strike 1.
And you see him right there. I mean, this is patience from a pitcher that doesn't want to have patience, because whenever you feel like you've struck somebody out and are walking towards the dugout, you are supposed to be better. We all know we just got to make another pitch, but it is so frustrating for your mind to reset it. 3-2 pitch, he throws a firm fastball, and now you're sitting there going, it shouldn't be 1-0.
And Lester, not one of those guys that hides his emotions very well either. You will see everything he has out there, what he's thinking. John Lackey's that way as well. You could say Peavy and Buchholz are both that way. The starters for the Red Sox in this series. Things aren't going their way. It'll be seen.
Well, like I said, it's something that everyone could be better at, but it's in the moment. You're in the heated moment. You feel like you made your pitch. It's just one of those things you probably could have taken more time to get back on the mound to totally reset your brain, so it's not a lingering effect whatsoever.
3-1 to Escobar. He pulls one. Oh, nice play over there. Third. Middlebrooks to first in time. Well done. Will Middlebrooks saves a hit. But how about Sean Rodriguez getting the start, delivering a home run to put the Rays on the board. Not pleased after not getting a call prior to the home run. And the Rays are back on top to start a game again. 1-0 Tampa Bay. Here is Mike Napoli behind all of that facial hair. Blood, sweat, and beards for the Red Sox. And they were tugging on the beards all the way around today in the clubhouse. Napoli, another one of those great pickups for Boston. Embracing the beard as Moore delivers a strike to Napoli.
You mentioned changing the culture earlier, John, and one of the things they did with some payroll flexibility was they went out and got some guys with some postseason experience, not necessarily stars by description. Grinder types like Napoli, like Gomes, like David Ross. Guys who have been in the postseason, know how to play hard. They might be less talented, the Red Sox, but they are a team full of gamers.
And Napoli signed an original contract with the Red Sox that was 3 years and nearly $40 million. But chronic hip issues, failed the physical, and that deal turned into a 1-year flyer contract that was incentive laden, and he has hit, I think, all of the incentives, or at least most of the significant ones. But he will be a free agent. No club option for next season. And Napoli, despite those hip problems, full schedule here for Boston and put up the good numbers this year once again. And postseason experience, of course, with the Angels and the Texas Rangers. Moore deals a 2-2 and a swing and a miss. He put it right by him with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Let's take it back to the sequence, John. Last inning prior to the home run.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, tough for the mindset to feel like you made your pitch and you're starting to head off the mound. It doesn't get called. You don't mind giving up a hit, but when it results in a run, then the old computer upstairs starts fuming a little bit, and you start figuring out ways why it shouldn't have been 1-0. It's part of the game. He talks to the umpire. Of course, they don't bat here, so when you get back to the plate, you can usually do that as a National League pitcher, but the American League, your only option is walking off the field.
And every umpire in the world says, well, I'm not the one who threw the home run ball.
Yeah, I don't know if you said that to him there, but you're right.
Watching that pitch again and watching the way Saltalamacchia caught it, I don't think did him any favors either. Salty tried to frame it by bringing it back up, but his glove really took that ball low and out of the zone.
That's a good point. Here's Johnny Gomes. A big decision today with John Farrell about left field. Johnny Gomes and Daniel Nava have been splitting time there. It's essentially been a platoon. Farrell saying Johnny Gomes was hired to play left field and bat right-handed against left-handed starting pitching, and that's what he's going to do today. Gomes is another guy that has found his way to the postseason a lot lately. And of course, he was here as a member of the Tampa Bay Rays when the worm started to turn for the Rays organization against the Red Sox and the Yankees of the American League East. Johnny Gomes remembers it well, and there were a few brawls that season that turned the organization around, made them feel like they belonged. Of course, they had the talent to be here, but now Gomes in a Red Sox uniform. His postseason experience with the A's and the Reds. And you figure he'll get 3 starts if it goes 5 games. With David Price and Matt Moore, the 2 left-handers that figured to start 3 of the 5 games. Gomes lines one to left. Rodriguez lays out, makes the catch. In his first ever postseason game in the outfield. After his home run to put the Rays on the board, he makes a terrific play.
They keep talking about Rodriguez being a guy who has worked his tail off to be that super utility guy wherever Joe Madden needs him. In plays like this, it's easy to see that his ability to acclimate to the outfield is pretty good. Great jump.
You got options here at Fenway because you're going to play typically shallower because a fly ball that's up more than likely goes off the monster, so you can take away more hits. You'll get credited as a left-handed hitter probably with more hits off the wall fly balls.
Rodriguez, an infielder by trade and a middle infielder, shortstop, second base, and the Rays trying to turn him into a more of a Ben Zobrist type player that can be versatile. He's come up big already. Saltalamacchia, the switch-hitting Red Sox catcher, stands in.
As you look right here, there's no second baseman, first baseman way off the line, so the chart's on the ground. Salty's going to try to pull a lot of things. It's almost going to be a mistake based on the charts if he hits it to the second base hole.
Not a team that shifts more than the Tampa Bay Rays. And if there is a shift on, Joe, it seems like they have some pretty good data to back that up. It has to be somewhat overwhelming on the spray charts to put defenders in these positions. We have seen it quite a bit already, how it has paid off. It certainly did last inning.
Well, let's face it, these 2 teams are very familiar with each other, and not only historical charts, but just from this year alone, they can lay it out as to how they were pitched, where they hit the ball, and where they had the most success.
But it all starts really, if you think about it, from the pitchers throwing the ball where they need to throw it more times than not. Now, Moore doesn't fit that as much. He's probably got a chance to be more erratic, but for the overall staff, they can pretty much put it where they want to make those shifts and charts come to fruition.
Saltalamacchia, a switch hitter, much lower batting average against left-handed starters. Saltalamacchia versus left-handers this year hit just .218 and 1 for his last 12 against left-handed pitching. Compares to .294 against right-handers. Giving you some data to work through the managerial decisions. Farrell giving him this game 1 start despite those numbers. Good chance to see David Ross in the starting lineup tomorrow, even though it'll be a big lefty and David Price. Full count, 2 outs.
But there's another case, Brian, where Ross's numbers against Price are a little better than Saltalamacchia. Saltalamacchia's numbers a little better, and he's in there today against Moore.
And Moore walks him. Patient at the plate. Saltalamacchia batting in the 7th spot in this Red Sox order, draws the walk. The second walk issued by Matt Moore.
Salty has really gotten a chance to play a lot more. He was involved in that big trade with the Braves and the Rangers. Of course, they put him at first base for a little bit and then fell in the depth chart amongst the catchers there. He came over here, same thing, kind of back up, and this year really has blossomed.
Stephen Drew with 2 away. Left-handed hitting shortstop. Steady, underappreciated. Drew has been a terrific addition to this club. He's another one of those guys that the Red Sox brought in. And a lot like Escobar, this will be a series with two shortstops that don't necessarily get the headlines but make all the plays. Escobar can be a little flashier than Stephen Drew, but both do their jobs very well.
Turn on some fastballs, quick bat, and almost suffered a career-ending injury himself in Arizona on a slide at the plate where his ankle was dislocated. He's come back from that.
That was in 2011. He was with the A's last year. Now in his third postseason with his third different club. Has been a problem for Matt Moore. He's got to be a nightmare to catch with his electric stuff. Led the American League in that category this season. It puts a runner into scoring position for the Red Sox.
Again, this is just release point. This is not coming out of the hand with a downward action where you're almost playing catch with the catcher. It's got to be at times where his release point just gets off kilter a little bit and the ball can cut or fade on him, because again, mechanically and getting himself in position to throw a baseball, not too bad.
Tied for the most in all of the big leagues. And now Saltalamacchia, chance to score if a base hit hits the outfield. A defensive swing, and Drew is in the hole now. Ball and 2 strikes.
John, don't you feel like Moore is one of those guys that he could dominate, throw a shutout like he did against the Red Sox earlier this year, or when he's off, I mean, there's going to be walks, there's going to be hit batsmen, he's going to have base runners, he's going to be in the stretch all day. There's no in between, really.
Right. There's a lot of patience, like we said, for the manager and the infielders, because there's a lot of counts where the ball doesn't get put in play and they're on the heels just a little bit.
Shot, but right to Escobar, takes a tough hop that he handles. And he makes the play for the out. A little footwork problem there by Escobar, but he's able to out. 2-strike home run in the second. And it'll be James Loney. That's got to be one of the more dangerous 8th-place hitters in this postseason right now. He typically hits 3rd against right-handed starters. Madden drops him all the way down to 8th today. Loney, Lobaton, then back to the top of the order in Jennings. Bouncing ball, the Gold Glover Pedroia. He's got some time, makes the play for out number 1. One gone for Jose Lobaton. And his first career at bat in a postseason game. Well, John, take a look at the Chevrolet pitch tracks and focusing on John Lester and his variation of pitches. And his signature pitch, that cut fastball, as he deals strike 1 to Lobaton.
Yeah, well, his engines have been revved up. Certainly you're going to see primarily fastballs and cutters, a lot of them, very few of the off-speed variety, and he's done that right from the get-go here. He'll mix them in, but when he's got his fastball working on the outside, the inside part of the plate with his cutter, it's a doubly tough combination.
Got 3 strikeouts on that cut fastball, and 4 consecutive strikeouts to start the game for Lester.
And they were all in. Really tying everybody up inside.
28-year-old Venezuelan catcher, switch hitter Lobaton. Jose Molina and Lobaton split time behind the plate. Molina has great numbers at the plate versus the Red Sox this year. There's the percentage of pitches for John Lester so far, and cut fastballs count as fastballs.
Well, I can say without a doubt that the influence of John Farrell before he was the manager of the Red Sox had a huge impact on this pitching staff and John Lester. And even though he's the manager and they have a pitching coach, their relationship still maintains in conversation from time to time.
That ball's hit high in deep center field, and Ellsbury at the track. Out number one.
So I think the hardest thing for John Farrell is he's learned to become, you know, a well-respected manager is when to give position players that they are. How do you read that? He knows how to read his pitchers. Been a real good pitching coach for a while. He leaves that duties to his pitching coach, but he'll talk to his starters through the year, after the games, talk about what they were feeling, and have that same conversation. He said he misses those days in the bullpen with him, but for the most part, now he's judging the team from a different set of lenses.
Beg your pardon, 2 outs here. You saw a shot of Juan Nieves, who is Farrell's pitching coach, coming from the Chicago White Sox as the bullpen coach. And I'm always curious with John Farrell and how much pitching he gets into other than decision making, and he certainly has a lot of the mechanics points, the buzz points. So as you see John Farrell operating this year with the Red Sox, how involved is he in the pitching side of things, especially with mechanics?
It's more at a distance. He's still, but in those conversations with his pitchers, whether it started in spring training and throughout the year, he knows them better than anybody. So if he sees something, he's certainly going to communicate with his pitching coach. But I think that calmness and just the culture that was created of stability with John Farrell brings back to the organization just put everybody at ease. Each individual pitcher had to work on what they did last year to get better, and they've all done that, including John Lackey, who we'll see tomorrow.
Ball and 2 strikes. And Jennings swings and flies one to right. Routine for Victorino, and that's a 1-2-3 inning for John Lester. 1-0 Rays. Red Sox are coming up. 91.com/baseball.
Where was Tim when I needed him?
Brian Anderson with John Smoltz, Joe Simpson, Rachel Nichols. Great to have you with us on a Friday afternoon at Fenway Park. 1-0 Rays as Will Middlebrooks will lead off for the Red Sox. And a hit batter and a walk for Matt Moore. And Middlebrooks in the air to right. Myers, very little experience in Fenway in right field, makes the play for the out. Joe, you're talking about the batters with the shadows now and the cloud cover has a great effect, I would imagine, on the outfielders as well.
It does indeed. I mean, it's tough to pick the ball up when the hitter is in the dark shadows and you're standing in the sunshine. So this cloud cover has helped the defense, especially in the outfield, and it's definitely helped the hitters. One more contact, certainly against John Lester after the shadow disappeared.
Back to the top of the Red Sox order with Jacoby Ellsbury. He grounded out in the first inning, bounced to short. And neither team took batting practice today. There was some rains that came through this morning and mid-morning, and the tarp was down. And Joe Madden was telling us he's not so concerned about swinging the bat or getting on the field to swing the bat and get your swing warmed up. There's batting cages for that. He was a little more concerned with getting his infielders on this dirt here at Fenway, and then his young outfielders getting some reps off the bat.
Well, let's not downplay the good play that Escobar made last inning to end the inning. That ball had some funny spin coming off the side of the mound, and he just played it beautifully. Had to lay back, wait for it to hit on the dirt, and then react.
Ellsbury pulls one over to Loney, knocks it down. Moore is there, and Loney hits him perfectly. And Ellsbury is out.
Nice play. And a perfect feed from his knees.
This play is made by the pitcher not hesitating. You got to get over there. You got a fast runner at the plate, and making that direct line to the bag. A good toss by Loney to the pitcher. So he spins and comes over right away. He's going to have a quicker route right to the bag if he takes that line.
Well, a lot of times Gold Glove awards are given based on offensive numbers, but James Loney has had a very good offensive year, and he is certainly one of those you'd have to think about as a Gold Glove performer at first base, and that's one of the main reasons why the Rays have had such a drastic improvement in their defense from last year to this year. saves a lot of errors, makes a lot of plays himself, and we've already seen it so far in the tiebreaker and in the wild card game. Victorino takes a strike. He was hit by a pitch in the first, stole second. Moore stranded in there. Matter of fact, Moore has stranded Red Sox at second base twice today.
Look at Moore. He's, again, the prototypical left-hander that comes over the top. He starts on the third base side of the rubber. I have to say the only thing he doesn't do sometimes is finish his pitches. Can sometimes stand up on his delivery. And he closes off against the hitters, and they don't pick it up a lot.
And he got the call on the inside corner.
It's a fastball. It comes straight in, holds its plane.
He's more of a pull hitter left-handed than right. That's why I think pitch him in right-handed and pitch him in hard into the Rays, because he's a little more willing to use the whole field right-handed than left. Victorino.
See that pad on his right thumb. That was an injury he suffered on the 20th of September. It was a hamstring problem that essentially made him a right-handed only batter. He had been a switch hitter his entire professional career. That was foul, and that probably gave him a little sting as well on that right hand. Yeah, those don't heal. And as we start moving into the fall and we get into the late fall eventually, if the Red Sox advance and the temperatures start to drop, that could be a significant problem for a hitter. One and two. And they got him. So Matt Moore strikes out Victorino, a 3-up, 3-down inning, the first of the night. Rays lead 1-0. John Lester back to work. Lester giving up just the one hit. It was a home run by Rodriguez. Facing Ben Zobrist to start the fourth inning. Zobrist, Myers, and Longoria. There's only been one hit in this game. Red Sox have had two base runners, a hit batter and a walk. Not a whole lot going on offensively so far. The cloud cover has been here since the bottom of the first inning. There was a bright sunshine when we started. Boston actually played an inter-squad game at 3 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday to prepare for some of the harsh shadows that could exist this time of year. It really hasn't been a factor thus far. And Zobrist hits that one into left field. That has got a chance to go, and it is gone. A fair ball home run for Ben Zobrist. The only question, would it stay fair, and it just went inside the foul pole. And two swings of the bat have the Rays on top 2-0.
He got something up and really threw some top hand on it.
Yeah,
switch hitter.
Fell behind, and not a lot of wasted motion for Zobrist. He's got one of them quick little triggers, and certainly he was on go mode. So once he got to 3-1.
And what, it has silenced this crowd with 2 home runs.
Zobrist hit 12 during the regular season. And you knew it had enough distance, but somehow Zobrist able to keep that ball fair. It didn't have the big hook on it. 2-0 Rays. Rodriguez and Zobrist go deep. Myers takes a strike.
Uniqueness of this ballpark. Fly balls off a left-hander is going to result in more doubles.
Myers chases one.
But you think about all the hitters that have had success in this ballpark. A lot of right-handers that can pull the ball. Beltre had a nice numbers here. Mikey Lowell comes to mind, where he loved to pull the ball down the line, beat that wall up a little bit.
Myers into right, and Victorino for the out. First out of the inning.
As a left-handed pitcher, that's where you'd like for the balls to stay, in the right field. It's so much bigger there. With center field, of course, with the gap cut out of 420. So that's where you want the ball to be. Now, the risk reward for Lester, he loves to pound in. And if he's getting it in, the only right thing a right-hander can do is pull it foul. But that room for error, if he gets it out over the plate, then that inconscious kind of aids to the right-handers trying to get the ball over that short but tall Fenway Green Monster.
Lester goes inside to get strike one on Longoria. Joe Madden's club has swung the power bat against John Lester. Lester has now given up 7 home runs in the last 3 starts against the Rays. 7 homers in 3 starts. And now 12 home runs in his last 7 starts. If you go back to the 2012 season.
Ben Zobrist would have been one of the least likely ones to do it based on the numbers coming in. 077. And yet he picked on a hitter's count, 3-1, and deposited.
Longoria, the Rays' best power threat, another 30 homer season.
I would just say this, guys. He had the advantage of that shadow in the first inning. He struck out the first 3 guys, all swinging. I don't even think there were any foul tips. He struck out Longoria to start the second, but he hasn't struck out anyone since. The Clouds coming in. I think the hitters are just getting a better look at him than they did in the early innings.
And now the first walk issued by John Lester. Longoria is aboard. Rodriguez hit the home run in the second to give him the lead.
Well, and I've also said, though, as pitching, when you come in with adrenaline and fastballs firing the first couple innings, that's a great way to start. Kind of throw your punch if you're a fighter. But you got to have separation as the game goes on. He hasn't been able to get a couple curveballs and changeups that'll keep them off balance. So it still works off the fastball. But I got to believe that secondary pitch or two would keep them off the fastball if you can hit with a few of them.
Delmon Young swings away, first pitch, base hit. And Young at it again early in the count. Last time up, he took the first pitch for a strike. On a base hit, second hit of the inning, and now a man on, 2 men on for Rodriguez. And we take you back to the second inning. This was a 2-2 pitch that Lester did not get called. The 3-2 pitch, Rodriguez hit one out. Not known for his power, but it gives the Rays the early lead.
Not sure that Lester's over that yet, John. I think it took a lot of starch out of him. And even though his conversation with Chris Guccione leaving the field that inning was certainly under control, he did not appear to be that mild-mannered in the dugout after that.
Big spot for the Rays. Big spot for Lester early. He's given up 2. He has 2 on, and that one's in the air to the left. Sounded like he got jammed a little bit. And Gomes for the out. 2 gone. Rodriguez swinging away at the first pitch. And now Lester can get out of this 4th with just 1 run allowed.
Well, the beauty of pitching is you'd love to pitch a shutout every single time. Right? But the one thing that you know is solo home runs usually don't beat you. It's the crooked numbers, especially at this time, where a team gets a big 2-out hit with 3 runs in an inning. But 2 solo home runs, John knows his offense is really good. And that's not the end of the world. So pitching with runners on, his first chance right here, runners in scoring position, getting it out, keeping it right at 2.
Yunel Escobar. Escobar had a hit in the wild card game on Wednesday. And he's swinging away at the first pitch. Foul territory. Will it stay playable? And it will. Napoli hauls it in to end the inning, but the Rays strike again, and it's Ben Zobrist this time. The switch hitter keeps it fair, and the Rays lead 2-0. The division champs in the AL East, the Boston Red Sox, they lead early 2-0. Home runs by Rodriguez and Zobrist. And that Moore back to work. Dustin Pedroia leads off. Ortiz to follow, and then Mike Napoli. Last time up, Pedroia flew out to center field.
Nobody that I can remember with the size that Pedroia generate more bat speed and more ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark than this guy, who they've rewarded with the 7-year contract and the heart and soul really of the Red Sox.
He's the engine of this team. You need him to get on here and get something going.
And a shot right back up the middle, and there is the base hit the Red Sox have been looking for, their first of the game. Now, moments ago, we had a chance to catch up with Rays manager Joe Madden, and we talked about his club, a patient team, getting off to fast starts recently.
When you're playing so many teams with great bullpens, you really want to get on top and stay on top. It makes a huge difference in the latter part of the game. It speaks to our guys being ready to play the moment the game begins. There's a great energy in the dugout again today.
Joe, we've seen your shifts and talked about the graphs and everything, the information you give. But how much of it is predicated off your staff being able to do certain things to help out your shifts?
Yeah, I mean, we're always working off of our pitchers. If our pitcher does not like what we're doing, he can call it all off. But a lot of this stuff is rooted in a lot of data, as you know. There's a lot of different games involved in different types of pitches, etc. So a lot of this stuff is choreographed in the dugout. It's done beforehand. We got great advanced scouting by our people upstairs, and then the guys in the dugout here do a great job choreographing during the course of the game.
The staff of general manager Andrew Friedman. And the shifts are on for David Ortiz. Although with a man at first, the Rays have to keep Zobrist attached to the infield bill.
I was just watching Longoria, Brian, and he got Escobar's attention and let Bunnell know that if a ground ball hits anybody on the right side, he'll take the throw at second for a double play. But a comebacker to the mound, he wanted Escobar to take it.
Does make for some awkward double play opportunities. Ortiz does not run well. We have plenty of time on a ground ball. High and deep to right. Myers calling. Myers near the wall. And that one bounces up and out. That's a ground rule double. Myers thought that Jennings was behind him.
Wow. What a huge mistake. He called for it the whole way. He waved him off. And so Jennings stopped. And then at the last second, Myers just stepped forward.
This will be a great look at it.
He's got it. He's got it. I got him. Stop.
Will Myers, 22-year-old rookie. He made his major league debut here at Fenway Park on June 18th, but he hasn't played many games here at Fenway. And Joe, as you mentioned, the toughest right field in baseball, but there's nothing tough about a ball like that.
I mean, to give up on that when you're really literally camped under it makes you wonder if somebody might have been yelling from the Red Sox bullpen or from the stands, I got it, which threw him off. Made him think that Jennings was there, but he was under it.
Well, nice job by Hickey coming out, pitching coach, and just getting the obvious out of the way. Look, there's nothing you can do about it. All right, second and third. Let's try to get out of this jam with just one run. Don't try and pitch perfect. It's going to be hard to stop them from scoring a run, but let's see if we can settle everything down and pick up your teammate. But I agree with you, Joe. I think somebody had to be yelling for him to get off that ball that he had a good beat on.
Big moment here. We'll see if Moore, with two on behind him, can weave his way through it for the Rays. Meanwhile, the Red Sox trying to cash in. Napoli at the plate. Second and third. Nobody out. Moore struck out Napoli his first time up, back in the second. Took a mighty hack. And Lobaton on his way for a quick chat. Should be an out and a runner at first. But Myers peeled off. Won't go down as an error. It goes as a ground rule double. Doesn't show up in the box score, but certainly a huge play early.
crowd's letting them know about it right now.
Channing Myers. Matt Moore's consecutive scoreless inning streak against the Red Sox is in jeopardy here. He has 17 straight scoreless innings against Boston starting this inning. And the shutout against him, his first and only complete game of his career here at Fenway Park earlier this year.
Well, at 0-2, now you change your thinking. Now you go for the strikeout. You try to make 2 killer pitches to get him swinging out of the zone. That changes the eye level, not a big deal. Obviously goes to 1-2.
But when you're a guy like Moore, who is a strikeout pitcher, he can be a great neutralizer in a case like this, right, John? I mean, because he can get the strikeout and practically get out of the inning by himself.
He can, but with the other thing that the bugaboo that comes up, the wild pitches, you can also create some stress on your catcher and for the pitcher who knows he's thrown some to the backstop.
We saw that between innings. He threw 2. His last 2 pitches warming up, bounced a good 6 feet in front of home plate.
Moore has a wild pitch today. Wild pitch Saltalamacchia to second. Back in the second. Red Sox with 2 on in scoring position. And a 1-2 to Napoli. Fouled away. It seems a tip late still.
If he had a good feel for his curveball, this would be the best time to throw it right off that pitch. If he could start it in the strike zone and get it to the back foot, the hitter recognizing maybe fastball out of the hands, that would be the time to throw his breaking ball. He's gone high and in with the fastballs with 2 strikes.
Rays, one of the great defensive teams in the major leagues, but a misplay has him in a spot of bother here. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Napoli. And a pop-up. Zobrist wants it. And there is the first out, and a big one for Matt Moore. Retiring Napoli.
Well, this again, Joe, is just really coming after him, you know, and saying, here it is. See what you can do with it. 0-2, go up, changes eye level. Really never came off the fastball, so something they were seeing allowed them to think that they could beat the barrel of the bat, which they did on that whole at bat.
He doesn't really like the ball up and in. He likes the ball down and out over the plate away from him. So they were working that area, certainly.
Well, Matt Moore quieting down this crowd at Fenway for the time being. Here is Johnny Gomes now, who lined out to left in the second inning. Took a diving catch, a forward dive by Sean Rodriguez. Second and third, 1 away.
Well, the Red Sox have shown over the course of a game how patient they can be, work the count, great average ahead of the count, behind of the count. But one thing right here that was so important, strikeout or pop-up is really the only way you don't get that runner in and possibly move the runner over to third. They're still a ground ball away from making it a 1-run game and obviously a hit from tying it. But some pretty heavy swings the last 2 times. Looks like they were trying to go deep.
Yep.
And Napoli in the air to left. That ball's well hit. Rodriguez at the wall. It is up and it is off the wall. Pedroia scores. Ortiz right behind him. It's a double. 2 runs are in. Johnny Gomes puts the Red Sox on the board.
Another big swing, and this one just missed getting out of here. And that mistake in right field proves awfully costly.
I don't know how many parks this would have been a hit in, but we're not playing in those how many balls. Certainly this ball hits off the wall. And the fairway, the players here, of course, Ortiz already knew that was going to, he was standing at third when that ball hit the wall, so an easy way for him to score.
That was a good read by Ortiz. He knew it was either going to be gone or hit the wall. Standing at third base, scores easily. 2 runs in on the Gomes double. All tied up here in the fourth. Saltalamacchia cut it a miss. The former Ray, Johnny Gomes.
Watch Ortiz here. Bounce off second, but he had a good read near the bag. He was certain that was, like you said, John, either a homer or a double. I've seen enough of those.
Saltalamacchia. Still just 1 out. Ball's in the air. Foul territory. Not a lot of room over there, and it'll end up in the seats. 0-2 on the Red Sox catcher. Myers had the misplay in right. Like he was camped under a fly ball to make a routine play on Ortiz. And inexplicably ran away from it as if somebody called him off. It certainly wasn't Desmond Jennings. That has opened the inning up for Boston. 3 hits, 2 doubles. Foul tip into the mitt of Lobatone. And out number 2 as we check in with Rachel.
Well, guys, Ortiz just came back into the dugout very animated, very excited, and told his teammates, you get ready for that fastball. Forget about everything else. Get ready for the fastball. You'll be good.
Rachel, that's the way they've been swinging this inning, too. They've had some big cuts. Started not just with the guys that were on base, but with Napoli when he came up to try to drive in the runs.
Two gone for Stephen Drew now.
And that may be in keeping with what you said earlier about his curveball just not there.
Yeah, I was a little surprised he didn't go to the changeup or the curveball. He started off Saltalamacchia with a changeup, but he basically went right after those 2 hitters and said, here he is. I'm going to try to ride it up to maybe you get another pop-up. But having some separation right there with aggressive hitters, you know they want to drive the ball. He just did not choose that route.
And Will Myers still getting his name chanted in this 4th inning. First postseason Will Myers. Stephen Drew, wearing his brother's old number. His brother J.D. spent 5 years here with the Red Sox. He rolls over one. Loney shovels it over and safe. And coming around to score is Gomes. Johnny Gomes hustling from second base. And he gives the Red Sox the lead on a little dribbler toward first. What great base running.
Well, the hustle of Stephen Drew made this work too, Brian. He could smell that hit.
Well, the one thing you got to do as a pitcher when you're coming over here and your first baseman's committed, you got to hit the corner and turn right away. Hit the corner, stop and turn. And that delay right there was all the runner needed. Practice that play a lot, but in the heat of the moment trying to get the final out, and you see he overshoots the bag. That's the first mistake. And then of course Gomes never really going to stop, but all he needed was that delay where he didn't hit the corner of the bag, turn around, check where the runner is. You practice that play, didn't come into.
That's going to be an infield hit and an RBI for Stephen Drew. He drives in a run from second on a ball that does not leave the infield. And Johnny Gomes had a sense about it. He was busting it off the bag at second base, and he scores without a throw.
Moore looked up and checked the umpire to see if he got the out before he turned to check the runner scoring.
Red Sox have the lead 3-2.
Well, there was a little indecision on the pitcher, and you can understand it because that ball's hit more towards second base. Once the first baseman goes to get the ball, you have to make that same beeline, and you have to hit the corner of the bag. He overshot it, and then by then it was too late. And what that corner of the bag allows you to do is pivot, turn back, and make the play. You got to anticipate that play before it happens. Everything happened really fast. The Red Sox hustle paid off.
Will Middlebrooks, 2 outs in the inning, 3 runs in for Boston.
All compounded by the horrible mistake out in right field.
Johnny Gomes drove in 2 with a double. Infield hit an RBI by Drew. Hard left field. That ball's going to bounce off the monster. Stephen Drew, as that takes a huge carom. He's around to score. And the Red Sox add to it. 4-2. That one took a wild bounce off the monster and allowed Drew to score from first base, and he was busting it all the way around.
I've always contended, Brian, that left field is easier to play here than right field, unless you get a carom off one of those little slots where the standings are there. You see those nameplates actually stick out a little bit farther from the fence. The innings numbers, the hits, it can hit those edges and come off in a funny way. And it did on Rodriguez and allowed Drew to score from first.
Well, and I hate to, not playing out left field too. He was very aggressive to the ball. He was charging without really having the patience to see what that carom was going to do. It's been an inning to forget, really, for Tampa.
A lot of inexperience in the outfield with the Rays. That'll go as a double and an RBI for Middlebrooks. And now the 8th batter of the inning, Jacoby Ellsbury. Red Sox lead 4-2. 4 runs are in on 5 hits.
That's the difference between 2 solo home runs and the crooked number. You rarely see a lot of series where this might happen, but an inning can get away from you pretty quickly. And the next thing you know, when you have time to slow it down and go, what just happened? I felt like I pitched pretty good, or I felt like I could have got out of that inning.
Strike. 0-2 on Ellsbury.
This is where you really need a strikeout. Get in the dugout. See if the offense can pick up this inning.
Matt Moore. Trying to get through this 4th. Middlebrooks in scoring position for Ellsbury. Jacoby has not played much since coming back from the injury. Injured that right foot on September 5th. He missed 28 games this year, and 16 of those 28 came in the month of September. So you got to figure his bat is still a little rusty, and even as he came back, only once did he play an entire game when he came back. And then the layoff from Sunday to today. Foul territory. Longoria will watch it in seats.
We've seen a few changeups from Moore today, but very little in the way of his breaking ball, and he's got a hard curve. There just must be something about it that he doesn't feel comfortable with today, and maybe those were the pitches he was bouncing up there before this inning started, John, that he's reluctant to go to for fear of some wild pitches.
Yeah, but if nothing else, you got to change the eye level, not just up all the time, down as well, take care of 2 quadrants.
Ellsbury asked for time, didn't get it right away, which he only finally awards timeout. It's a good lesson. He stepped out, didn't hear the timeout call, he jumped right back in there. Just because you ask for it doesn't mean you get it. Or reset. Eighth batter of the inning, Ellsbury. And a swing and a miss, and the ball gets away from Lobaton. And Ellsbury will reach. That'll be a strikeout, and what I assume will be a pass ball, and a defensive meltdown in this inning by the Tampa Bay Rays with no errors on the board.
Well, I said you needed a strikeout, but I never anticipated this was going to happen. A ball that goes in just off the tip of the glove, off the shin guard, and the inning is still alive.
That'll be a pass ball for Lobaton. And
these are the mistakes.
Joe Madden shaking his head.
Yeah, these are mistakes that Joe Madden and the Rays just don't make. Again, the second best fielding percentage in all of baseball. Only 59 errors on the year. And as you said, these aren't errors on the board, but they are mistakes.
You see Archer loosening quickly in the bullpen for the Rays. Been a long inning for Matt Moore. He deserves a better fate. There have been some hard hit balls, no question. Some misplays. Victorino pulls one foul.
It's been a long inning for John Lester too, but you don't mind it when your team rewards you for 4 runs. You got longer time in between innings to go out there and get loose again, but a 4-2 lead is a lot better if you're having to go through a long inning.
Matt Moore has 2 strikeouts in this inning. 5 hits thus far. First and third, and a check on Ellsbury. 3 primary base stealers for the Red Sox, and Ellsbury is the best of the group. Lester has seen his club put 4 on the board and give him the lead. Feels like a great running chance for Boston. Victorino to right field, a base hit, and another run will score. Shane Victorino, like a tennis backhand, just serving one into right. And it's an RBI single, and it's 5-2 Boston.
Again, he uses the field more right-handed than left. He got something up and away from him. Did a nice job of just serving that into right field. Wasn't even a strike.
Wow. Up and out of the zone, and Victorino delivers an RBI single, extends this inning. And Joe Madden sending not only Lobaton but Zobrist to the mound. They might want to try to buy a little time here for Chris Archer. What an inning. 9 batters thus far. 5 runs are in. He's not ready yet.
He's a starter. Takes him a little longer.
Not a hit coming into this inning. Hit parade. 2 to 6 of them.
Well, we'll see if the Rays put the stall on here, trying to get Archer in this game. The man who started this inning, Pedroia, with a base hit to center field. That was the first hit of the game for the Red Sox. Matt Moore went through the first 3 with no hits, a hit batter, and a walk. And had a couple of strikeouts. But it has all fallen apart in this 4th. How about that? First time through the batting order, 0 for 9. The first 3 innings anyway.
It's 32 pitches for him this inning. Pedroia did indeed get it going.
Johnny Gomes had the big hit. Double off the monster and left. Drove in 2 runs. 10th batter of the inning. And a 2-0 pitch is swung on and lashed foul.
Alex Cobb and David Price. Obviously, David Price not so much, but Alex Cobb really slowed the game down with off speed and curveballs and got out of a lot of jams in his previous game. Moore is saying, here's my fastball, and this is what I have confidence in. I'm going to it a lot.
Still in a hitter's count, Pedroia, and he swings, bouncing ball. Zobrist to end the inning. How about the Red Sox taking advantage? 5 runs in, they have the lead. All right, Keith, thanks. How about Garrett Cole? His first postseason #1 pick just 2 years ago out of UCLA. Now the Cardinals are going to have to step into the Hornets' nest in Pittsburgh for Game 3 of that series, all even at a game apiece. Here in Boston, the Red Sox have just scored 5 runs in the 4th on 6 hits. And the Red Sox lead 5-2. A misplay in right field, the big play. Will Myers camped under a David Ortiz fly ball, peeled off, and it felt like, at least in his reaction, that someone called him off. But it certainly wasn't Desmond Jennings, the center fielder. Could have very easily been the Red Sox bullpen, but either way, a misplay, not an error, but a misplay, and it opened up the door for the Red Sox. James Loney swings and rips one right to the Gold Glover on a hop. Pedroia, nicely done. A moment ago, we had a chance to catch up with Red Sox skipper John Farrell. We asked him to walk us through that 4th inning.
Well, it looked like the first time through the order we might have had to get our legs underneath us with the downtime, the days off, but you know, we were able to capitalize on a couple of pitches up over the plate. Obviously, we get a little bit of a gift on that double by Ortiz out in right field, and Johnny Gomes and Stephen Drew just great base running.
John Lester gave up a couple of home runs. The first one looked like he was certainly upset over not getting a call just prior to the first home run. How about this long rest here with this long inning?
Well, you know, he did some throwing as typical. It's almost like as if we had a pitching change inside the length of that inning. So, you know, hey, on the 2-strike changeup, he looked like he made a quality pitch. You know, Rodriguez gets him for a fastball over the middle of the plate. But as we've talked about internally a lot of times, the inning to go out and shut down an offense is after we score, and that's what we'll need right here.
And our thanks to John Farrell, spending a little time with us between innings. That shutdown inning after a run scoring inning, and now Lester, who's given up the 2 solo home runs today. Lobatone to center field. Ellsbury is there for out number 2. A couple of hard hit balls, but 2 outs. And go back to the top of the order for the Rays.
It really is the most important inning, other than the fact that you start a game, because your team goes out and gets 5 runs. You don't want any sense of letting the other team back in the game. Now, if you give up a run later, it's different than when you give it up right away and give some of those runs back. So 2 balls hit pretty hard, but 2 outs.
Here's Desmond Jennings. An offensive swing. Lester came out. He struck out the first 4 batters. Sean Rodriguez homered with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the 2nd inning. Zobrist's home run was a leadoff shot. And Lester is on the attack. No balls, 2 strikes. Check. Able to check his swing. Ball and 2 strikes. Well, Mike Napoli, that was a crucial out at that time, it looked like, for Matt Moore, but then Johnny Gomes delivered with the 2 RBI double. That is the shutdown inning. 11 pitches is all it takes. 3 up, 3 down for Lester. After a very long 4th inning, facing 10 batters in that frame, goes to work once again. Ortiz takes one inside. It was the batted ball by David Ortiz that helped get the inning started for Boston, and the misplay in right. That's a bouncing ball off of his foot.
Ortiz thought he hit it out. Posed for a minute, and here you see Myers calling for it, and then all of a sudden just peeled off of it, came in, nobody behind him. Escobar and Ortiz talking about it at second base. Ortiz wondered what happened.
It was a ground rule double, and you don't know how the inning goes after that, had there been an out, as Ortiz looks like he's hurting a little bit. Foul ball off of his foot a moment ago. Looks like I got him right on the toe.
Shin, then the toe.
And we'll see if Moore goes right back in there, down and in again. Get him to do it again.
It's a good possibility.
Ball and a strike on Ortiz. He'll be followed by Napoli and then Gomes. Back in there, and Ortiz fouls it away. And while there were the misplays by the Rays, Joe, you start to look at that 4th inning and think about the hard hit balls. Even the Johnny Gomes double, a towering fly ball. And then you had Middlebrooks, who laced one off the wall, took a bad bounce, but allowed another run to score. Victorino went to right field with a runner in scoring position. Red Sox did a good job executing around those misplays by the Rays.
I think they were certainly taking the advice of David Ortiz in the dugout, who, as Rachel told us, came back to the dugout telling his teammates to look for the fastball, sit on it.
And a 2-2 for Moore. Sounded like he broke his bat. Moore has plenty of time, and there is out number 1 in the 5th inning. That'll bring up Mike Napoli. Looks like Ortiz still hobbling a little bit after that foul ball. A designated hitter position can be very difficult. Very few do it well. Ortiz has been one of the few who has done it very well. And he'll go sit for a while until his next time up. One gone from Napoli.
Moore, he's been throwing primarily fastballs. We saw a changeup right there and a changeup to Ortiz, but we have not seen a curveball in quite some time.
Napoli popped up to second in that 4th inning. That was immediately after that Ortiz double. First out of the inning. Think about Mike Napoli, and one of the reasons the Red Sox brought him over here, because he has been a clutch performer in the postseason. He was going to be the likely MVP of the World Series in 2011. playing for the Rangers. Had it not been for a David Freese triple and a Nelson Cruz misplay, Cardinals went on to win that World Series. But Napoli proved he could handle the big stage. Two and one. Make it 3-1. Tampa Bay had Chris Archer loosening up last inning. It looked like they couldn't get him quite ready. At one point, Jim Hickey looked at Joe Madden and said he's not ready. He's not there yet. So Moore stays. Napoli rips one. That's down in the corner. A couple of hops off the wall. And he's on his way to second. Got a chance here. Rodriguez throw and the tag. Safe. What a great slide by Napoli to the back corner of the bag. Has that chronic hip problem, but able to hustle this one into a double.
Zobrist couldn't find him. He was so far to the right field side of the bag that you see Ben having to lunge for him. He thought he got him on the elbow, but his hand might have been on the bag by the time the tag was applied. That was awfully close. What a slide by the big guy.
Bam, bam play, and right there, Dana DeMute, the crew chief, with a great look at it. Heck of a slide. Running as fast as he can, which is not very. But now he's at second with one out. A double for Napoli. Johnny Gomes will be intentionally walked.
A lot of these guys are carrying more weight this time of the year, really, with the beers. That was adopted quite some time ago, and talking to John Farrell, he said, no, not going to happen. They asked him to do it. Wasn't going to happen for the manager, but all the players that could possibly grow them have.
Exposing those who cannot.
Yes, there were some that should not have participated.
Well, Gomes will be walked. By the way, that double he had in the fourth, his first career hit in the postseason. And now 2 on with 1 away. Don't forget, coming up next after we're done here, it's the Dodgers and the Braves, and it is game 2. Zach Greinke up for Los Angeles. Mike Minor will get the ball for Atlanta. And then tonight, 9:30 Eastern, the Tigers and Max Scherzer, the likely Cy Young Award winner this year in the American League, against Bartolo Colon and the Oakland Athletics. That'll be game 1. Tigers A's.
That's going to be an interesting series for me. The A's, of course, exceeding all the expectations once again. The Tigers, the prohibitive favorites with their starting staff and, of course, their explosive offense. And then Scherzer in a new role, really, leading off the rotation. Justin Verlander has been their guy for the last 4 years. So it's going to be a really, really loud crowd in Oakland. I think they'll open up some seats or two.
That is about as rowdy as it gets from the time they enter till the time they leave. Kind of a football kind of crowd. They'll have big tailgate going on. Now here is Saltalamacchia with 2 on. The intentional walk to Gomes. He's trying to set up a double play opportunity to get more out of this inning. He might be approaching the end of the line here. Rays have 2 hurlers in their bullpen. Archer continues to throw. And Wesley Wright has begun throwing now.
Well, one of the keys for Boston, besides it had a great year, and we can document it with stats, but the starters need to go deep and turn it over to a shorter bullpen in Boston. And then the hitters have to grind out at bats against the Tampa starters and get it into their bullpen earlier. So far, those 2 things are working out for Boston as they've got the lead. Made Matt throw a lot of pitches. It looks like it'll be a bullpen game from this point on for Tampa. Well, John Lester is hoping to carry it at least into the 8th inning if he can.
Moore with 102 pitches, and we are only in the 5th. Saltalamacchia takes a ball. And the pitches by inning tell the story. That 33 pitch 4th inning. Anytime a pitcher gets over the 30 pitch mark in an inning, you're starting to move into the danger zone.
If it's taken 30 pitches, you know the danger's already existed. There's been runs scored. It's been a long inning.
3-0 is in there. Saltalamacchia takes.
7 double plays hit into by Saltalamacchia this year. That's a low number for a catcher, but he is a guy who wants to lift the ball.
Moore struck him out his last time up. Saltalamacchia walked to the second, and he hits that one in the air to right. Foul, slicing in the seats.
The other thing Boston would like to do to be successful in this series is run. Stolen bases, a part of their arsenal. Haven't needed it so much today, but the running on the bases has been crucial as they've taken advantage of everything that's gone on. Every bounce, every close play.
Victorino with a stolen base today. Johnny Gomes had that mad dash from second to score on an infield. Runners go here. Saltalamacchia to left. That is way back. Rodriguez looks up. It is off the monster. 1 run is in Napoli. Here comes Gomes, and the throw is cut off. 2 in. A double Saltalamacchia. And it's 7-2 Boston.
The Green Monster is eating Sean Rodriguez alive. First double off the wall, came down, hit on the warning track, bounced over his head. The next one hit off the wall, caromed away from him. He couldn't knock it down. Same thing there. He was too close to the wall, and it bounced over his head.
Pitching change. Joe Madden will take Matt Moore back with him. 7 is in. And the numbers for Wright this season, 70 appearances. And entering this game, trying to get through the 5th. Joe Madden said he is a guy that can give him multiple outs and multiple innings if need be.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a crossfire delivery with sink. 2-seamer and a 4-seamer. A slower breaking ball around 79 miles an hour, and a good changeup with really good arm action. Likes to pitch in as well.
1 out in the inning. 2 runs are in. At second base is Saltalamacchia, who drove them both in with a double. Well, the last 3 hitters in the Boston lineup today, 4 hits and 8 at-bats, 3 of them doubles, and 6 of the 7 runs produced by the bottom 3 in the order. Stephen Drew had an RBI on an infield hit his last time up.
And this simply was a starter who lost the touch on the ability to throw that breaking ball, as we talked about. He was kind of confined to just fastballs and changeup, and he didn't throw as many changeups in relations to his fastball when he got in trouble. So, you know, who knows what would have happened if the ball was caught and there's 2 outs. We can all speculate that would have definitely changed the outcome of the inning. But Matt Moore's inability really to command the breaking ball on a secondary pitch has hurt him.
And Matt Moore cruising along through the first 3 innings. And a bitter taste on his way out of this game. Did not give up a hit through the first 3 innings. Only a hit batter and a walk, and then it all unraveled in the 4th. Rachel gave us that great report about David Ortiz coming back in after he scored the run to start hunting the fastball. The Red Sox did. And took advantage.
You know, I watch a lot of the in-between innings to see what a pitcher's trying to get established or get going. That's a time in the game where you can work on things. And we did see, as Joe mentioned, you know, consecutive 2 to 3 pitches that hit that not even got to the batter's box as far as distance with his curveball. So maybe those alarming things just said, I can't afford to throw that pitch in any situation. And he never got out of that inning to get to another inning to work on it.
You made the point early, the 2 solo home runs by Lester. Certainly you don't want to give up home runs, but solo shots don't hurt you, especially with an offense like the Red Sox. And being here at Fenway Park, as Drew not able to check his swing.
Yeah, they rarely beat you. I mean, there's plenty of data to say that it happens where you lose on a solo home run, but in this type atmosphere, with the team that Boston has and their ability to score, wasn't going to beat him.
So Wesley Wright picks up his first strikeout, first batter faced, and now he'll face Middlebrooks. And they will walk Middlebrooks. The left-handed hitter Ellsbury coming up next. And just to draw the line in the sand on it, if you look at Lester's inning, he didn't get the call he wanted. He was frustrated. He gave up the home run, but he comes back and he finishes off the inning. Now, if Tampa Bay goes on, scores 4 or 5 runs in that inning, you'll certainly be able to look at that missed call, but it's what you do afterwards. And the same goes for Matt Moore and the Rays after the misplay in right field.
And it was a tough situation, meaning that you're going to give up a run percentage-wise, so limit it to that. And the one thing, going back to it again, is his inability to change speeds created a tougher task for him, because you saw hitters swinging from their shoes. You saw them got the pop-up, like, whoa, okay, there's a good big out. And then never really made the adjustment with other pitches, and those guys just stayed in there and were swinging for the fences, and it worked out for Boston.
Will be Ellsbury, the only guy for the Red Sox in their lineup today without a hit.
Ellsbury 0 for 3. He struck out in the 4th inning, but the strikeout pitch was dropped by Lobato on a pass ball, and that extended the inning. The next batter, Victorino, took advantage with a base hit and an RBI. It was the 5th run in that inning. 7-2 Boston. And Wright to face Ellsbury. Two on, two out. Saltalamacchia at second. Middlebrooks, the second intentional walk of the game by the Rays. He's at first. Our first of a triple header on TBS today of postseason baseball. 4 postseason games today. The Pirates beating the Cardinals earlier today. Garrett Cole with the victory. His first playoff start. Off the glove of Wright and into left center. Saltalamacchia will score. Ellsbury gets into the act. RBI single. And it's 8-2 Boston. And now every Red Sox has a base hit in this game. That run will be charged to Matt Moore right off the glove of Wright. Hot shot from Ellsbury. And a pitching change for Joe Madden. Chris Archer coming in. We'll take a break. Announced as the potential game 4 starter, so it's Archer who comes on with 2 away.
Archer, along with a lot of these young Tampa Rays pitchers well beyond his age and maturity, he's got a firm fastball, really good sliders, tough on right-handers. See the numbers on the year. 9 wins.
Alex Cobb, the winner in the wild card game. All 23 of those games for Archer were starts this season. So pitching for the first time out of the bullpen, he'll face Shane Victorino. 2 on for Boston. They have 8 runs on the board, and Victorino, slow roller, tough play. Escobar not in time. Victorino legs one out. An infield hit keeps it going for Boston. And now the bases are loaded with 2 away.
That thumb for Shane Victorino is barking, but he's very happy to have some hits today. Got in on him, broke his bat, and still beat it out.
Great image there from Total Motion. See the vibration that goes through the bat and into that thumb for Victorino. No wonder. Here's Pedroia. Second time today the Red Sox have batted around back-to-back innings. 10 batters in the fourth. Pedroia is the 9th of this 5th inning.
You have to look at your scorecard the rest of the way in. Mine's soup.
Kind of a tough place to make your first relief appearance of the year too, Archer.
Yeah, you're at the same time though, in a game that's a little bit lopsided right now, it's an opportunity to get into a series. You want to keep it right there, give your team a chance to come back. This kid's got a live arm and a really good slider.
Well, and he can do his team a great service for the rest of this game if he treats this like a start, and he can give him a few innings here. That will certainly allow Joe Madden and Jim Hickey to save that bullpen for another day. These two teams are back at it tomorrow. The next off day, as a travel day, is scheduled for Sunday. And then game 3 in St. Pete on Monday. Lackey, David Price for game 2. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Pedroia lays off.
I always felt as a game 1 starter, it was so important not only to set the tone for a short series and win that game, but pass it on to your next teammate and put him in a lesser of a position, meaning give him the 1-game lead.
Red Sox Nation thirsting for more. And he got him. Pedroia strikes out, inning over. Red Sox bat around again. 3 more runs are in, and it's 8-2 Boston. 8 runs, 7 of those earned. Should have had a better fate today. John Lester, meanwhile, has not actually been on the mound very much. As Zobrist on the first pitch. Out to left and goes to make the play. So you don't keep time in baseball, right? I mean, we have time of the game, but it's a game without a clock. But since the bottom of the 4th inning started, John Lester has been on the mound 3 minutes and 30 seconds in the last hour, as the Red Sox fans are giving it to Will Myers. Chanting his name after the misplay in right field that opened the gates for the Red Sox in the 4th. Well, we'll take you back to that 4th inning if you're just picking us up. A runner at first, nobody out. Ortiz, what looked like a routine fly ball. Myers called and then backed away. And that put runners at second and third, and Rays had a few more blunders defensively, Joe, in that inning, and it was all said and done 5 runs in as Myers to deep center. And there's out number 2.
You understand it when, and you see it all the time, where 2 outfielders come side to side and there's a little indecision over who's going to take it. I got it, you take it type thing, and it drops between them. But I don't ever recall seeing a play where an outfielder was under a ball, camped under it, and then moved forward to let someone take it behind him. That was just bizarre. I'm not sure, still not sure what happened.
And as a starting pitcher, you want to do nothing more than to pick up your teammates. That was a tough position to be in, second and third, nobody out. He then got the pop-up, but I thought the crucial play for me in that inning, after all that happened, was the covering first base. You had 2 chances to get that batter out. You didn't get him out at first. You had a chance to throw the runner out at home. And because that didn't happen, that started, another runner scored when he shouldn't have. So you look at that inning, and there was a few times where runners shouldn't have scored, and it just added up to a bad inning for the Rays.
Yeah, that was an infield hit by Stephen Drew, scoring a runner from second base. Gomes was hustling all the way around, and he ends up scoring from second on an infield hit. And an RBI for Stephen Drew. And this is the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
Joe.
I thought this was a huge play because he's not blistering it, but you've got time right now to throw him out, even though He was safe at first, and to your point earlier, he looked at the umpire to see the call first, overran the bag. By then it was too late, and a run scored.
And that would have ended the inning. The out at the plate. And that's going to be a 1-2-3 inning. John Lester going quickly here after the long delay or the long layoff with his offense at Fenway Park Friday afternoon, and moving into Friday evening. Boston leading 8-2, game 1 of this American League Division Series, with division rivals matching up. Back-to-back innings, Boston has batted around, scoring 5 in the 4th, added 3 in the 5th. Red Sox with 8 runs on 10 hits. Matt Moore, first 3 innings, holding the Red Sox 0 for 9, just a walk and a hit batter. As Ortiz bounces one into the shift, and there is out number 1. Now don't forget, MLB Network is your home for another Division Series game on Monday. You can catch live coverage before and after every postseason game on MLB Tonight. Check local listings or go to MLBnetwork.com for the game time and channel number.
Big Poppy looked like he was running okay down the first base line. No worse for the wear from that foul tip off his foot. It's been one of the keys to his good year as he's stayed healthy.
Perhaps the most timely scouting report for the Red Sox. Imploring his team to be aggressive on the fastball in the 4th inning. He combined the 4th and the 5th. The Red Sox scored it all 8 runs, 10 hits and 17 at-bats in those 2 innings. 17 at-bats in 2 innings is a lot anyway, and 5 doubles among those 10 hits. Rays with 2 solo home runs today. Rodriguez and Zobrist. They had a 2-0 lead going into the bottom of the 4th. And do the Rays have enough firepower to come back in this game down 6, with John Lester looking like he is back on his A game right off the end of the bat. Napoli retired and 2 up and 2 down.
When you're going through what the Rays have gone through over the last week, 11 days, because of the road trip, I mean, you've got a real good camaraderie among your teammates, because everybody's in this battle together. You're pulling for one another. Everything's going good. You're relying on each other to get through this tough time, to win these tough games. But what they've done, as you mentioned, 12 straight games where they've scored first, and especially in those elimination games, that makes all the difference in the world for your adrenaline, your confidence. And now all of a sudden they're down 8-2. There might be a huge deflation for this ball club just for today. I don't think it'll carry over for tomorrow, but this has got to be a point where it finally caught up to them a little bit.
The reason it won't carry over to tomorrow is Big David Price is going to be on the mound, and certainly that helps.
Oh, and you look at how things have gone down for the Rays, and they have been in the grinder, and they've had an elimination game the last 3 times out. They did it Sunday in the last game of the what could have been the last game of the regular season, 162. That forced them into the tiebreaker with the Rangers on Monday, and then again on Wednesday in the wild card game. But now they know they're settled into a series. It's a best of 5, and because David Price pitched on Monday, he comes right back to pitch in game 2 here. And it's possible he could come back and pitch in game 5 if necessary, which would be next Thursday.
Right. And the big thing, and nobody will say it on the other side, but this was almost a must win for Boston from that mindset. You know, you don't ever want to lose the first game at home, but you also know what's looming in game 2, and David Price has been one of the premier pitchers in the game. So John Lester knew what he had to do. John Lackey will be trying to disprove that it's no big deal. But for the Rays, you ideally in every short series want to win 1 to secure 2 at home.
Now games 3 and 4 will be in St. Petersburg at Tropicana Field, and then if necessary back here in Boston for game 5 as a strikeout for Archer. He gets Gomes, and a 3-up 3-down inning for the 25-year-old. And when the Red Sox have scored, Lester has quickly shut down the Rays. 6 up, 6 down, as a matter of fact, after run-scoring innings for Boston. Delman Young will lead off for Tampa Bay. Rodriguez to follow, then Yunel Escobar. A lot of baseball to be played. The Rays have some thumpers in their batting order, but Lester, the Red Sox ace, looks like he is in good standing right now. He has 5 strikeouts. At this point, he's only given up 3 hits, 2 of those home runs.
Well, and everything changes when you've got a lead. I mean, you always try to pitch as if it's a 0-0 game, but who's kidding who? When you get a 6-run lead or a lead like that, it's a lot easier to prey off of the team that's trying to get a bunch of hits to get back into it.
You see the breakdown of the pitches today by Lester. Remember, his cut fastball, which is his signature pitch, is part of the fastball percentage. And I would imagine you'd see a steady diet of those moving forward. Pitching with a 6-run lead. And a half swing by Young. Did he go? No, he didn't.
I think that fastball percentage has gone up over the last 2 innings. Bump it up over 80%.
Firm changeup right here, and see the barrel of the bat staying back, hands going forward, but the bat did not.
Top spin bouncer over to short. And through for the first out. Well, the Rays, we talked about their wild travel. They ended the regular season on a massive road trip. And this has continued to the postseason. So far, they've traveled over 3,600 miles. St. Petersburg to the Bronx, then to Toronto, Arlington, Cleveland for the wild card game, and then here in Boston. And actually add to that over 4,100 miles through all of those cities. But Joe Madden is the first to tell you that, yes, there has been some travel, wear and tear on the body and whatnot, but there have been days off here recently. Had a day off prior to game 1, and then of course a day off prior to the wild card game that benefit the Rays in a big way, especially with the bullpen and the personnel. I guess the question is, and you don't know the answer, we'll see how they go along the rest of this division series, is Rodriguez out to left, and Gomes for the second out.
Physical risk, maybe a little bit along the way, Brian. I would agree, but the mental stress they've been under for the last 5 days, especially beginning Sunday when they had to win in Toronto, and that zaps you.
Yeah, and lost the first 2 games of that series with the Blue Jays. That opened the door. Tampa Bay was in the top spot in the wild card. And Zobrist in the dugout, getting some work on his throwing arm.
If there's any club that I have seen over the last few years that can deal with this type of thing you're talking about, it's the Rays. They've had a week where they just go and show Legion ball or whatever they've talked to. They don't take BP sometimes. He gauges his team and watches his team and doesn't get caught up with the other things that may make you feel like, oh, if we don't do this, we're not going to win. Or if we do this, it's going to cause people to second guess. They've adapted to everything his manager, Joe Madden, has done, and collectively 25 guys have adopted.
This is the same manager that after the team lost 6 straight games did a toast on the team charter saying to the best 0-16 this past week in Major League Baseball. He has an amazing way of turning everything into a positive. He said we'll use it even as they struggled on their last West Coast road trip of the regular season and needed to win. They started to slip a great deal. They gave up about 8 games in the standings in the wild card race. He still felt positive, said we'll learn from it, we'll be better because of it. So he'll find a way, and it makes the post-game press conference all that much more entertaining. And Joe Madden has something to chat about. Still time to come back in this game. Not ruling them out yet. But they do have a 5-game series as opposed to an elimination day. And Lester keeps the Rays down. John Lester, 11. The Red Sox unified this year. And the Beard's one way of showing that. New pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. Left-hander Alex Torres will take over. Bottom of the 7th inning. 8-2 Boston. And back-to-back big innings for the Red Sox. A 5-run 4th and a 3-run 5th. Saltalamacchia was a big part of that 5th inning. He drove in a pair with a double. He was 1 for 2 today with a walk, 2 RBIs. He scored a run. Chris Archer came on, did a nice job for the Rays. He was able to get out of the 5th. He worked a scoreless 6th, and now Torres enters into the postseason here, working the 7th.
Alex Torres, not a big guy, good arm swing. Hitter doesn't see the ball. 92, 93 mile an hour fastball, good changeup, good 2-seamer. Not afraid to pitch and attack the hitter.
And Torres on the attack. Strikes out Saltalamacchia. We send it to Atlanta. Keith Olbermann. Hello.
Number 7, Stephen Drew.
All right, Keith, thank you. Somebody is right. We don't know who, but somebody called it and didn't have it. And, yeah, the Dodgers and the Braves for game 2 of that series. The Dodgers, Joe, look like they are lined up and ready to roll here with Kershaw going yesterday. Didn't even necessarily have his A game early, but able to get through the Braves. 15 total strikeouts in that game by Dodger pitching. And now Zach Greinke is a number 2 in Los Angeles.
Yeah, everybody was impressed with what Kershaw did without supposedly his best stuff. What impressed me was Adrian Gonzalez's home run. The ball out away from him to hit it out in the straightaway center at Turner Field. That was pretty impressive.
Starting to almost feel like a must-win for Atlanta tonight, John, with the first game going to the Dodgers. They're going to be heading back to Los Angeles after game 2 today.
Yeah, whenever you're facing the ace of a team, you know that if he wins, he almost guarantees himself to pitch again, or at least the likelihood is there. So Zach Greinke, ever since the injury, has been lights out, and he's been hard to beat, and he's the Zach Greinke you thought that they were getting. And so, yeah, must win for Atlanta.
Although, Joe, we'll just remember last year, right, when the Cincinnati Reds won 2 on the road in San Francisco, and the Giants in the NLDS comeback win the 3 games. And of course, they would power right through and win another World Series as Torres picks up another strikeout. Back-to-back Ks. Now we're just getting started with this series. Game 1 tonight. Our upcoming schedule is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And this is how this will line up the rest of the way. Tomorrow is a 5:30 first pitch, and that's Lackey against David Price. And then Sunday is a travel day. Game 3 Monday in St. Petersburg. Game 4 and 5 if necessary on Tuesday, with an off day Wednesday. Could return to Boston for game 5 here Thursday, and that'll be very interesting if we get to that point to see who Joe Madden would pitch in that game. Or would he return, or would you see David Price on short rest? Either way, it's going to be a left-hander.
This left-hander's pretty impressive. Torres, he's a guy that Joe Madden uses for matchups late in the ball game prior to getting to Fernando Rodney, and they've only hit about 75 off of him left-handers all year long. He looks good.
Yeah, he attacks with his mindset. You know, it's not 96, 97 miles an hour, and I don't really think, because of the way his arm swing is and he closes up a little bit, I don't think the hitter sees it. I think it appears faster than it actually is to the hitter.
Bouncing ball to Zobrist, who makes a play in a 1-2-3 inning. So Torres with a couple of strikeouts. Red Sox go in order. 8-2 our score. Boston has the lead as we go to the 8th inning. 2 big innings by the Red Sox, and John Lester, after allowing 2 solo home runs, has shut the Rays down. John, he's retired 11 straight, has 6 strikeouts in this game, and a pitch count that is in good shape. And he might be thinking about the finish line here in game 1 of this LDS. James Loney leads off, and Lester pours one in for a strike.
You guys remember Alvin Davis, the Mariners? Good first baseman, good hitting first baseman, left-handed. That's who James Loney reminds me of. Alvin Davis had a little more power, I think, than James, but they both had similar swings and very good against left-handed pitching typically too. Loney was an all-star.
Loney was traded to the Red Sox. That big trade that allowed Boston to free up their payroll. Loney was part of it. Dodgers cleared the way for Adrian Gonzalez to play first base. And Loney finished the season with Boston, signed with the Rays, just a 1-year deal, and he figures to be in demand this offseason. Trying to cash in on a huge year. Interesting that he's hitting 8th today. Typically bats 3rd, especially against right-handed starting pitching, and you'll probably see him in the 3-hole tomorrow against Lackey. Lester at a 2-2 count on Loney.
Loney and Escobar, big reason why they have drastically changed their defense, and 2nd in the league this year, just behind Baltimore.
Loney today 0 for 2 against Lester. Bunch of 0-fers against Lester this afternoon. He's only given up 3 hits to Tampa Bay. A home run by Zobrist in the 4th. Rodriguez homered in the 2nd to start the scoring. Rays led 2-0 going into the bottom of the 4th. Lester a little bit frustrated in that 2nd inning. Didn't get a call on Rodriguez, but managed to keep his composure. Allowed that other solo home run, but he has shut the door after the big innings by his offense as he walks Loney to start the inning. Well, MLB Fan Cave is coming back in 2014. Players, celebrities, concerts, and more. And you can be a part of next season's team. Just go to MLBFancave.com and apply now.
I think that'd be a good place for you, John.
Speaking of celebrities, you talking about this John or that John?
That John.
John Travolta. I'm sure he wouldn't mind stopping by.
Yeah, that John.
It did just turn out to be a beautiful day here. It's overcast, but considering all the rain that came through here for about an hour or so with the tarp down prior to the game, very pleasant here at Fenway Park.
When you saw that, John, what movie does this pop up when you see that?
Saturday Night Fever.
Okay. Face Off for me.
Yeah.
Classic. What about you, John?
Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever.
John Henry having a chat with John Travolta. A swing and a miss. Lester with a spinner in there and picks up another strikeout. That'll be his 7th. We invite you to be the first to know the latest news on all your teams with Bleacher Report's Team Stream app. Stay one step ahead. Check out the Team Stream on your phone's app store today. After the leadoff walk, Lester strikes out Lobatone. Back to the top of the order in Desmond Jennings. Good news for Red Sox fans if you like to look at the historical numbers. And winning game 1s of series in the postseason usually work out very well for the Red Sox. Since their World Series winning year in '04, Boston has won 6 of 7 series after winning the opener of that series. Good news for Rays fans, the only exception was 2008 in the ALCS. Red Sox won game 1. Tampa Bay would go on to win that series in 7. That was a Red Sox game 1 victory on the road in St. Pete. And prior to that '04 World Series, the last time the Sox won a game 1 at Fenway and lost a series, that famous '75 World Series against the Cincinnati Reds. And all the Reds fans say the Reds were in that World Series. So history is on Boston's side.
They've done real well in the postseason at home. You just talked about some series they've won, but they in postseason since 2003 they're 17-9 here. Not as good in division series, but overall their game-by-game record very good.
Well, you can talk a lot about Fenway Park and its quirks, and it felt like those showed up in a big way today for the 2 corner outfielders of the Rays. Will Myers in right field, Sean Rodriguez in left field on a few fly balls off the monster.
And Sean had a real hard time trying to figure out how to play the balls off the wall. Had 3 opportunities and didn't field any of them.
And Jennings draws the walk. So Lester puts 2 on. A couple of walks in this inning. Gives him 3 for the game. And 2 men on with 1 out. That's going to bring up Zobrist, and now Tampa Bay starting to move in to the heavy hitters in their batting order.
Quickest way to get them back in the ball game is starting to put guys on base in this part of their order. We saw Tazawa loosening up a minute ago. I think he's got some company now in their bullpen. Craig Breslow, left-hander, begins to loosen up.
Well, a little bit of the difference this inning, trying to pound that fastball away, just missing off the plate. And then he pulled a couple fastballs to get behind in the count. So he's frustrated with himself a little bit, and he wants to get back on track by making quality pitches here in the 8th inning.
1 man out. Zobrist at the plate. Ben Zobrist, the switch hitter, ultra versatile player for the Rays, but since Will Myers was called up in mid-June, he has mostly been a second baseman. That shows a bunt. Takes a ball. 1-1 the count on Zobrist. Will Myers to follow.
Sure, he'd like to do nothing more than to have the bases loaded or a chance to redeem himself a little bit for the faux pas there out right field. Did I use that word right?
Yeah, that's a good proper usage. Take it back. Zobrist in the 4th. And the Rays flying high early. That was a home run that just stayed fair. Didn't have much hook on it at all. And Zobrist giving the Rays in the 4th inning a 2-0 lead. That came to lead off the 4th. All in 2 strikes. 2 on for the Rays. And Zobrist to right. Victorino runs it down, out number 2. And that will bring Will Myers to the plate. And I'm sure Red Sox fans are looking forward to his appearance again, and that's going to do it for John Lester. So Farrell makes the call to the bullpen. John Lester strong today, just the 2 solo home runs. Pitches into the 8th inning in this game 1, his first ever game 1 at Fenway.
Zawa's coming in, and he's got a sneaky fastball, sinking 2-seamer, 94-mile-an-hour 4-seamer, pauses with his leg a little bit, split light action, and He's been good as well coming out of the pen.
And the chance continue for Will Myers. As we send it down to Rachel Nichols.
Well, guys, Will Myers obviously has a big mistake to shake off in this game, but teammates are always confident he'll be able to do things like that because nothing ever seems to rattle this kid. In fact, he seems to have so much faith in himself that his manager, Joe Madden, has nicknamed him Ricky Bobby because, hey, he thinks he's the greatest.
Shake and bake, Will Myers. It has been a tough day for him. His first postseason. We talked about Myers playing right field. He made his major league debut here at Fenway. And that was the big play in this game. That's going to be the image that you'll see the most from this game. The Red Sox, after that misplay, would go on to score 5 runs in the 4th. There were more miscues by the Rays, but the first one by Myers put runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. Rifles one to right field. Victorino, very good defender, is there, and that is the inning. Ozawa protects the runs for Lester. 8-2 Boston to the bottom of the 8th. 2-2 as we go to the 8th. Jamie Wright is on the mound for Tampa Bay. Jacoby Ellsbury leading off. Interesting note for Wright, after 18 years in the major leagues, he's appearing in the postseason for the first time. He and David DeJesus making their first postseason appearances. His numbers in the regular season.
First round pick.
Sinking fastball. Tight slider. But it doesn't matter if he faces righties or lefties, according to Joe Madden. He's pitched some big innings down the stretch for the Rays.
Now the Red Sox with 8 runs on 10 hits, and all 8 of those runs and all 10 of those hits coming in the 2 innings, the 4th and the 5th, as Ellsbury, a little flare to left, that's going to fall, a base hit. Jacoby Ellsbury was the last Red Sox to have a hit today, and he has 2 in a row now. 2 for 5 at the plate. Our innovative stat brought to you by Nissan. And if you'd like to dive in a little bit, we're looking at first pitch swings, the lowest percentage of first pitch swings. You see Dustin Pedroia is on the list. Victorino is 5th. These would be the opposite ends of the spectrum from guys like Delman Young.
I'm really surprised at that, especially today. He swung at 2 first pitch offerings, but he's also one of those guys that loves to ambush you after a pitcher's meeting or after a play where maybe there's been a lot of base runners, a lot of chaos. He's really good at ambushing the first pitch as the next hitter after some problems.
And that speaks to the change in game plan for the Red Sox. John Farrell, we visited with him between innings, and he thought maybe knocking off a little rust, just trying to get your bearings back in the game. Boston did not play from Sunday to today. They did have an inter-squad game, a simulated game, but that was more for the pitching than anything else. But they went up there hacking in that 4th inning. Victorino in that 4th, after Ellsbury reached on the pass ball following the strikeout. Victorino had a base hit to right field, and it was not only above the strike zone but outside by plenty. A shoulder high pitch that he drove into right field for an RBI, and that was the 5th and final run of that 4th inning. Ellsbury takes off, and no throw by Lobaton, and the Red Sox keep the pressure on even with a 6-run lead. Ellsbury steals the bag and now in scoring position in the 8th.
Right, they never stopped him. Watch this. Walking lead. He never stopped. Never made him stop striding off. That that was a gimme for Ellsbury.
52 stolen bases in the regular season, and impressively caught just 4 times. Jacoby Ellsbury. And I'm sure that is a great sight for John Farrell to see him run. It means his foot is healthy enough to do so. Two balls and a strike on Victorino.
It wasn't just his stolen base percentage, but the whole team. 87% success ratio on stolen bases. That's #1 in American League history. And who would have thought that it would be the Red Sox that were doing that? Just a couple of years ago, they were very pedestrian.
123 steals for the year, 19 caught stealing, 3 primary base runners. And picking their moments and reading pitches. You think about Victorino and all his years with Davey Lopes and the Phillies and the craft of stealing the base. It's not just about speed.
Yeah, I'm sure Victorino's passed along a lot of that to these guys, but it speaks to their diversity and their offense. They don't just have to sit back and wait for somebody to hit one over the monster. They're producing runs in different ways thanks to this good team speed.
Full count to Victorino. And a check on Ellsbury. And the last base you can fake to. Second base.
Yeah, they took away the other one to third. But I'll tell you what they do more than anything for the lineup is they make it tough to deliver pitches because you want to prevent him from trying to steal. And they have an effect, a carryover effect to the 3, 4, 5 hitters.
A shot, base hit left field. Ellsbury around third, and he's on his way. Shane Victorino drives in another one, and the Red Sox up 9-2. Victorino with 3 hits, 2 runs batted in, on base 4 times, and it's a 7-run lead.
And right-handed hitter against a right-handed pitcher, something you just haven't seen from Shane Victorino, a lifelong switch hitter, but because of the leg injury, he's been forced to stay on the right side. Certainly didn't affect him there.
And interesting that Victorino's batting average against right-handed pitching as a right-handed batter at 300 when he made that change because of the hamstring injury. And my question is for Shane Victorino, does he go back to being a switch hitter once he heals and gets into next year? Does he stay exclusively right-handed? On occasion he did hit left-handed after the injury, but not very often.
I'll bet he'll pick some right-handers to go back left-handed on.
Yes, no doubt.
He also had a hit off Archer back in the 5th inning. That was an infield hit, though.
Pedroia, slow roller, rolling foul.
Jamie Wright has a really big leg kick, which makes it easier for base stealers to run. I'd be surprised if Victorino goes now. That may have just stopped the running game. 7-run lead, 6-run lead. Working on the future for Ellsbury, but I'd be surprised if he went here in this situation.
Well, the reason I don't think there was any problem with Ellsbury going is because they weren't holding him. I mean, he just kept walking off, and hey, if they're not going to hold you and make you stop, go.
That turns into a run. Take as many as you can. And there goes Victorino with a swing of the line drive, base hit. Hit and run to perfection. Pedroia singles. Victorino to third. Still nobody out for Boston.
That looked like that whistled right by Victorino's nose, too, as he was headed to second base.
It's a breaking ball down, and look what a great job of hitting that is. Didn't try to pull it, knew the runner was going. Was going to vacate the second base area, and just textbook.
Yeah, straight steal there, though. Victorino never even looked back to see the point of contact. That's why the ball came so close to him. And on an 0-2 pitch, when a catcher has to go down to try and block a pitch and you get a base hit out of it, that's pretty good hitting.
First and third for David Ortiz. And the Red Sox trying to pad the numbers here. Ortiz with a double, credited with a double on the misplay in right field in that fourth inning.
Well, you see the shift, and we're looking at first base right here. But now Victorino has been allowed to get so far down the line because there's no third baseman. So anything remotely in the dirt or gets away, you can see right there, nobody to protect that base. Now, of course, the score being 9-2, you'd say, what's, not a big deal. But later on, when this situation comes into play, Tampa's going to have to decide how they want to play it.
Yeah, good point. If it was a one-run game and you have this spray chart on David Ortiz, do you break off that to hold it close? I would imagine you'd have to. I'm a little bit fearful for the safety of Shane Victorino.
Me too.
90 feet between home and third. And I'd say, what, he's probably 45 feet from home plate when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Looks like he's halfway.
And now with 2 strikes and the infielders switch places, Longoria and Escobar, Longoria's even farther from third base.
Ball at 2 strikes. Still nobody out. Get it out of the glove of Lobaton. Did a good job to keep that one off the screen. Victorino could have walked home.
This is kind of what I was talking about. This ball, let's say it just pops away 2 feet, he scores. But he was able to catch it back right quickly. Let's watch how quick and how short a distance he can almost. He's thinking about it because there's no fear of having to get back.
Two and two now. Jamie Wright in his first career postseason game, and it's been a rough one. 3 straight hits. Red Sox with 13 hits. Napoli waits. Everything away to David Ortiz. And that one's down and in. Good block by Lobaton, but the bases are loaded. And Jim Hickey is on his way out.
That was a terrific block, like you said, Brian, by Lobaton, especially when he knows that Victorino's just a few steps away. Corralled that one and kept it close.
Oh, I have a moment. Let's send it back to our Atlanta studios. Keith Olbermann standing by. Keith. Thanks a lot, Keith. The Dodgers out in front early with Greinke on the mound. Greinke had a great finish to the season. Overall, had a fantastic year. Former Cy Young Award winner.
Mike Minor's had some first inning problems recently, too. Got him again tonight.
Well, here is Mike Napoli. 1 out of 4 today. Every Red Sox starter in the batting order has at least 1 hit. A big day from Victorino, who has 3 hits and 2 runs batted in. Big damage done in the 4th and the 5th. And now Napoli, who hustled his way to a double in the 5th inning, batting for the 5th time.
He's a guy who likes the ball down and out over the plate. This may work to his benefit, with Jamie Wright being a sinker slider guy typically.
3 grand slams in the regular season. Anytime you can get your name on a single season leaderboard with Babe Ruth, you're going all right. There's one away from tying the Bambino. He's looking to do big damage. Napoli with 23 home runs and 92 driven in. Big questions whether he would be able to play a full season. Chronic hip injury. John Farrell, he was able to rest him when he felt like he needed a breather. Managed his playing time well. Napoli, when it was all said and done, ended up playing in 139 games. Red Sox fans hungry for more. A bases loaded walk. And the last thing the Rays want to do here is make another pitching change. Victorino scores an RBI the easy way for Napoli, and it's now 10-2.
Love watching Johnny Gomes hit, and I have for a long time, because wherever he's played, poor guy, he's never been able to find a helmet that fits. He works that helmet. Someday they'll find one that fits him.
Good call, Joe. I can't stop watching though. Bases loaded for Gomes. Still nobody out. First 5 batters have reached. 3 hits, now 2 walks.
It reminds me of a bull rider pulling his hat down just before they open the chute.
He looks like the bull rider and the bull all in one.
Show you how good the Boston offense is. Just about every category, they're top 5. Bases loaded. They hit 301. They've had the most chances. They've scored the most runs. So this team can score in bunches, as we've seen today. They haven't put up a single run in any inning. It's been a crooked number. That plays in the postseason.
This crowd still chanting Myers. Right fielder Will Myers had a bouncing ball, got a chance to turn it here. Escobar on the 6-3 double play. Another run will score to make it 11-2. No RBI for Gomes, but a run is added to the register. And it's a 9-run lead. 2 gone in the inning for Saltalamacchia. This score, Tampa Bay rolling along like they were, very surprising at this point. And I think more surprising the defensive lapses by the Rays in that 4th inning. This is a team that has hung their hat on pitching and defense, historically good defensively this season. And while you don't see the errors show up, there's a ton of miscues in that 4th inning.
Well, that's the weird part. There's no errors on the board.
And that's the thing. It's the psychological thing that you're trying to deal with. If somebody makes an error, you can understand it. A physical error, you know, you boot a ground ball, or let's say you drop a fly ball. This was routine that never even got a chance to be caught. It was almost catching everybody by surprise, like what just happened. That, I think, had more to do with the things that unfolded next. As a pitcher, you try to pitch your way out of it, and the next thing you know, everything that could go wrong went wrong for Tampa, and it just snowballed. So that score is reflective, I think, because of the shock value of what just happened. How did that happen?
Well, and give credit to this Red Sox lineup as well. They took advantage. It's a big at-bat. Saltalamacchia beats the shift. A base hit. Another run is in. And Jared Saltalamacchia, this time from the left side of the plate. Another hit and an RBI gives him 2 hits and 3 runs batted in tonight. 12-2 Boston. Well, it was an inning to forget for the Tampa Bay Rays in the 4th.
No explanation for why Will Myers just pulled off that ball in the simple first to pitcher. Run scored on that. Misplay by Rodriguez in left field, off the wall. Had 3 opportunities off the left field wall and couldn't corral any of them.
That was the one thing that Joe Madden said. We don't mind not taking BP. We would love to get some fly balls and ground balls to get used to this field.
Jamie Wright to first, and the inning is mercifully over. Red Sox put another crooked number on the board, and they lead. Still in shouting distance. And last call for the Rays here. 12-2 Boston. Another big inning for the Red Sox. Twice they have batted around in this game. They brought 8 men to the plate in the 8th inning. 4 runs in the 8th. And now it's going to be Ryan Dempster out of the starting rotation for the Red Sox in the regular season. Moved into the bullpen. In a spot he has some familiarity with. Was a closer in the big leagues with the Chicago Cubs. He'll be used out of the pen. Could see him in some late leverage situations for the Red Sox. I'm sure John Farrell is excited about getting him a postseason appearance out of the bullpen in a 12-2 ball game.
A little bit surprised he's starting out of the stretch, maybe adapting to this role and saying most of my pitchers would be out of the stretch, but a starting pitcher normally works out of the windup.
Made 3 relief appearances during the regular season.
David DeJesus getting an at-bat. His first postseason. Probably see DeJesus in left field tomorrow. But the right-hander John Lackey on the mound for Boston. He's got a revolving door out there, Joe Madden. Today it was Sean Rodriguez, and while he had his troubles in left, Rodriguez hit the home run that opened up the scoring in this game and made a very nice catch on a dive. But DeJesus will get the call tomorrow, I'm sure, as he strikes out. And the first out of the 9th for Dempster. Well, you can watch every game live when NCAA March Madness returns to TBS, CBS, TNT, and True TV this March. For the first time, the Final Four will be on TBS. Don't miss a moment of the action starting in March on TBS. And will the Michigan State Spartans be there?
Guarantee it.
It's Kelly Johnson pinch hitting. So Madden taking this opportunity to get some of his bench players today some playing time in this game 1. Hit well left center, got some carry to it. Ellsbury at the wall, high off the wall. Extra bases for Johnson. He's on his way to third, and a triple for Kelly Johnson.
The Red Sox outfielders made a mistake there, just that they both went for the baseball. They're pretty conditioned for one guy to go for the ball, the other guy to play it off the wall. Ellsbury goes for it. It's after his reach, but you see both of them right there at the wall. Then somebody had to track it down. And Kelly Johnson can run.
Well, there's a little edge, like you said, right above there.
Looked like Johnny Gomes he said, I'll do what you do, Jacoby. Follow the leader. Oh, he's jumping. I might as well jump. Here's Matt Joyce, another pinch hitter for the Rays. Haven't seen a whole lot of Matt Joyce in this run. Slumping at the plate. Triple by Johnson. Well, you can use every inch of a baseball game to your advantage. Sometimes you got to get creative, but in the first game of a division series, especially with a couple of guys that have not played in the wild card game or even in the tiebreaker game, and Matt Joyce, Kelly Johnson, got to be something, Joe, to that first at bat, getting it out of the way,
and get a little comfort level for the next one. For a guy like Kelly Johnson, some confidence on top of that. Royce can get the run in. It'll make him feel good for his next time around, too.
And a swing and a miss, so Dempster strikes him out. 2 gone in the inning, a couple of Ks, and the Rays down to their final out, Yunel Escobar. Well, John Lester was terrific today, gave up the 2 solo home runs, but when the Red Sox gave him a big lead, he had the shutdown innings. Pitched into the 8th inning today. On the first pitch, slow roller. Pedroia takes care of it, and that's the ball game. The Boston Red Sox hold serve. They win game 1 of this ALDS in convincing fashion. TBS is your exclusive home for the 2013 NL and AL Division Series and the National League Championship Series. Now we'll send you to Atlanta. Ernie Johnson, Cal Ripken Jr., Ron Darling standing by. Game 2 underway. Dodgers Braves. We'll see you tomorrow.